Okay, so the second section of 3-7 is going to be solving absolute value inequalities. So that starts with number 16 on your practice assignment. So that's where we're going to start. The ones I've chosen here to help us are 16, 22, and 28. So starting with 16, I just want to make sure that we have the basics of this and don't get lost. So 16 just says the absolute value of x is greater than 1. Okay, so there's nothing really to solve in there, but we talked about in the notes today that we have to split these into a positive and a negative. So what we would do is we would split this up where x is greater than 1, and then our negative 1, we would have to flip that inequality the other way like that. And there's nothing to solve. So those are our two inequalities. We have to decide if it's an and or an or here. And so, hold on, let me look. I can't remember if we have to graph this or not. Does it say graph? Yes, it does. So let's graph it. And then we'll decide if it's an and or an or. So in this case, right, we need a positive 1 and a negative 1. So let's start -1, 0, and positive 1. Our positive 1 says x is greater than 1. So we're going to have an open circle there. And that arrow is going to point to our right. And then our negative 1, x is less than 1. So we're going to put an open circle again. That arrow is going to point to the left. So those arrows are pointing opposite each other. So we need to write the word or in the middle there. And this is going to be our first answer. Okay, good. Easy peasy. Now let's get a little bit harder. Scoot on down to number 22. So number 22 has a little bit more to solve in it. So this is all inside our absolute value. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by splitting that up and do a positive and a negative solve here. So we have 3c minus 4 is greater than 12. We're going to leave that as is. And then the other one we're going to solve then is 3c minus 4 is less than negative 12. We flip that inequality and make that negative, and we're going to solve each. So let's start with this one. First thing we would do here to solve this is add 4 to both sides. Okay, so now we have 3c is greater than 16. And we'll do that over here, plus 4, plus 4. So now we have 3c is less than negative 8 here. And now we have to do our division. So get your calculators out, or you could do it in your head if you know it. We're going to divide, that's our from last time. We're going to divide each side by 3 for both of these. All right, and so c is greater than, so you can either divide it out and leave it as a decimal here, right? So 16 divided by 3 is that I accidentally times it, sorry. 16 divided by 3 equals 15.3 repeat, or 5.3 repeating. Or you could make it a mixed number, it's 5 1/3. Or you can leave it an improper fraction. Over here, c is less than now. Negative 8 divided by 3 is negative 2.6 repeating. Okay, so that is our two inequalities solved, but that is not the final answer. So you need to graph it so we can get our final answer. I wish I would have left more space, but I'll do this one up here. So the hard part about graphing this, right, is you have decimals. So you're going to have to estimate. So 5.3 repeating and negative 2.6 repeating has to be pictured. Well, let's go the integers around that. Let's go all the way from negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to make this a little bit longer, and 6 here. Okay, so if we estimate this, let's start with our c is greater than 5.3 repeating. So 5.3 repeating is going to be a little bit past the 5. That's got to be an open circle there. And so we're estimating that's okay. And this arrow is pointing to our right. So that's going to go right. And then negative 2.6 repeating is going to be almost, it's going to be past halfway toward the 3. That's going to be another open circle. And that one's going to be pointing to our left. These are pointing opposite directions, so we know this is also an OR. Write that word in the middle, and here is our answer. Here is our graph. Okay, good, good. Okay, last one that we'll do together for the video, and then we will let you guys work on this on your own or in partners. So last one is this. What happens if not everything is in the absolute value signs? Same thing as we talked about yesterday happens here is you're going to have to imagine that this is like an x at first, okay? So in your mind, it's like solving 7x minus 8 is less than or equal to 48, okay? So we're going to start by getting rid of or canceling out the other things. So just as a sidebar, I'm going to write this like this. We are imagining that it looks like this at first and that we're solving it. So if this were the problem, the first thing that you would undo is the subtraction of 8. So we're going to do that here. We're going to add 8 and add 8. So now we have 7, and then 3y minus 4 in absolute value is less than or equal to 56. Okay, and so then if we had done that over here, right, we would add the 8. The next step would be to divide out that 7. So we're going to do that here. Divide out 7 and divide the 7. So now we have the absolute value of 3y minus 4 is less than or equal to 8. Okay, now we're to the point where we were up here, and it's almost the same thing. This one was a 12, this one is an 8. So now everything's in the absolute value. We have to split it and solve each. So we're going to do 3y minus 4 is less than or equal to 8, and then we have to do the negative side, 3y minus 4, and we're going to flip it, is greater than or equal to 8. Okay, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. 3y is less than or equal to 12. If I add 4 over here, I have 3y. Oh, I forgot to make that negative. Whoops, sorry about that. 3y is greater than or equal to negative 4 over here. And then we're going to divide by 3 on both of them. This one would be y is less than or equal to 4. And this one over here is y is greater than or equal to. Now you can make that a decimal or leave it a fraction. I'm just going to leave it a fraction this time, negative 4/3. And those are the two solved inequalities. But we don't know, again, if it's an and or an or until we graph it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make a graph line. Okay, now I know I need a 4 in there and a negative 4/3. Again, this is like a decimal. So this negative 4/3 is equal to negative 1 1/3. All right, that might help you to know that when we're doing this. So we know we have to go all the way to negative 2 then. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's start with y is less than or equal to 4. So that's got to be a closed circle. Boop, we're going to close it. And that arrow is going to point to our left. This one right here, also a closed circle around negative 4/3. And so that one's going to be like negative 1 1/3, about right here, closed. And that one's going to be pointing to our right. So these are actually going to connect. Here's the graph, okay? So since they connected, now here's what I want to show you. You don't want to just write and in here because this one is higher than this one, all right? And we got to get used to writing this as a compound inequality. So you start with your low number. So negative 4/3 is our low number. Positive 4 is our high number. We will put y in the middle. And now we look. For the negative 4/3 inequality, the alligator eats the y. So we're going to make the alligator eat the y here. For the 4 inequality, the alligator's eating the 4. Make the alligator eat the 4. This is the answer. That is the compound inequality you would be looking for. And this is the graph. Okay, hopefully you found that helpful. If you have any questions, please make sure you see me or email me. Okay, have a great day.